Hi, friends. It's D&Debrief episode 5. Why am I struggling with the episode title? We are down to Katie. Katie is not feeling very well. She did amazingly to stay for the episode as it was. And I'm like all love to Katie. Hope she feels better soon. But we are joined by Jace.
Hey.
We're joined by Katie, the other Katie.
Hiya.
And we're joined by Crispy.
Well, that wasn't. Seemed
God,
very disappointed to announce me.
I didn't mean to make it sound disappointed. I'm so sorry. It wasn't intentional. It was just like it was a visceral thing that happened when you started talking. I just saw Windows for some reason. Windows appeared and I felt disappointed and sad.
Fair. That's very fair.
And so I think this might have been a particularly combat-heavy episode. I don't know how the rest of you felt about that.
There was combat?
There was a little bit of combat. There was a smidge. Just a smidge.
I
was
blacked
intense.
out, so I don't know.
That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the combat this session because I never felt like, oh, we might have a total party killed, and it didn't happen, but it made me a little nervous.
I am surprised that none of your friendly NPCs went down as well, because I was certain that we were going to lose some of them, but we didn't.
I was fully ready. Because I was like, the ones outside of me, I was like, I mean, I could go. Like when I ran, like right at the end when I ran past the one that was paralyzed, I was like getting ready to like, I'm so sorry I let that one die, but like, oh well.
No, absolutely, absolutely. It was. Oh my gosh. I love running combat sessions where it feels like there's a proper. Where it's a proper danger, where it's properly it's properly scary. There's something really cool about that. And when I read through this particular module, and I have played about with a couple of little tiny bits based on something else, a cohesive, like making sure everything's running together guide. I did play about with a couple of little things to change it slightly. So if you are running your own Candlekeep, if you run that module as an individual, it is very different from what we've just done. Mm-hmm. Incredibly different. There's a whole other map that we could have used, but I chose not to. Just to keep it sort of like the contained in the way that it was. But I really, really love making people concerned that it might be a TPK. I have a home game where our players, they're now level 17, but I ran a combat session I think when they were level 16 where it genuinely felt I didn't know which way it was going to go.
Yeah.
And that's really scary.
I love those though.
It's amazing, but also when you set out plans to do a big, long actual play series with a bunch of your friends who have very generously agreed to give up their time to come on a Sunday afternoon to play Dungeons and Dragons, and then I get to episode 5 and I'm like, I might kill all of them.
It did feel like that danger was there. I mean, this out of all of them, and the strange thing is though, normally, whenever we've got anything sort of combat, I go down at least once. My character is down at least once and I want to pick her back up again. I didn't take one single point of damage through that whole thing, which just blows my mind.
The issue was, and I knew it, and I know Katie's not here. I know Katie's not here to defend herself. But when she picked up the statue, I was like, I watched her face go, I really shouldn't have done that. It shouldn't have been me. I'm the squishiest person here. Why am I holding this? And then when we took our break, none of you were like, actually, I'll take the statue and I'll hold it because I have a bigger hit pool.
As soon as I realized that every enemy was beelining for it, I was like, oh, why don't I have that? I should be the one who has that.
Yeah,
because I also forget how low like all of everyone else's armor classes are compared to mine, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, it's the challenge of being the bard as well. She needs like mage armor or something just to power a little bit. Bless her.
At that point where we sort of figured that it was going to go after her for that, that's the point I was really glad that I didn't actually jump out the window straight after Brock, because initially that's what I was going to do. I was going to go straight out until that other girl came in the room. So it's just lucky that girl's timing sort of kept me there, because then it would have went a whole different way, maybe.
We would have just returned to a house where everyone was dead inside of it.
The statue would have gone. Everyone was dead. Awen would have been on his last arrow or some shit. Just like, oh man, it was a little bit brown trousers at a small moment, but you survived.
I love that I got to do damage that 2 different enemies were vulnerable to today. Love it. Makes me so happy.
Even though the drama at the end of that white going out the door with the statue, and it's like, quick, it was like, oh my god, it was just everything in levels of sort of drama and combat. It was great. I loved it.
You know what's so gratifying as a DM, to finish a session and have you guys be so fucking pumped on the back of it. It's so nice. I'm like, I could bathe in this feeling for days, and I think people get really nervous about DMing and all of those things. I've been DMing now for like 8 years, I think. Yeah, so I think I started in 2016, but I've been DMing for eight years, and this like it's kind of a bit like people pleasing. But like that high of like knowing that you guys had a really good time and you really enjoyed what happened, it makes my face hurt from just like the glee that I have in you guys having a good experience. So I'm really glad that you're feeling like this.
Yeah, no,
it was a good, yeah, it was a lot of fun
combat too. Like it was really like well done.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Then those horses turned up.
I think, Crispy, you're the you probably have. Is it fair to say that you have maybe the least experience out of everybody in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition? I know you've played other tabletop games.
How does
it feel? No, I was going to say, how does it feel like in comparison to the other games that you've played or the other systems that you've played? How did that combat feel and how did it compare?
So we played Pathfinder for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And we played that for years. I mean, some of our some of our campaigns would quite literally last 3 years, and we'd play once a week, every week.
Amazing.
And I feel like our DM, and unless Pathfinder is just much more simple than 5th edition, I feel like our DM kind of did a little bit more for us and kind of didn't tell us, oh, you're doing this. This is the actual technique that you're doing. He would just say, oh, you're able to do this. He didn't, explain, the technical stuff going on behind the scenes, and feel like we're doing a lot of that kind of stuff. And it's not complicated. It's just more to do. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to come up with examples, but my brain is a little fried right now. But it feels more involved than my previous campaigns, is what I'm trying to say, and I really enjoy that.
So that's a good thing, just to clarify.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
On the same side, it's a good thing. Cool. My one experience of Pathfinder was, and I'm not going to knock anybody who plays Pathfinder because I think it's great. Like getting into role playing, do whatever you want, play whatever system you want, because get into a TTRPG because they're really fucking fun. But my one experience of it was a suggestion that we might play Pathfinder as opposed to Dungeons and Dragons in one of the campaigns that I'm in at the moment, one of the home games that I'm in at the moment, and everyone said that Pathfinder felt more complicated than 5th edition, which is quite funny to see you saying that on like the flip side and saying, "Oh, it's been so much more involved."
Yeah, and I feel like maybe that just has to do with our DM having done more things for us. They just wanted us to enjoy it more so than have to think about, learning all of the rules and everything. They just wanted us to role play and have fun, I think, for the most part. I mean, I guess if we had questions, he'd answer and everything, but he made it easy for us.
Okay. So my takeaway is you're finding this really difficult.
You're not making it easy for us.
Okay.
No, not at all. You've been very helpful.
No, but I agree. It's interesting to hear you say that Pathfinder or something, because like I have a Pathfinder game that I'm playing just for funsies, and I mean I think it's also complicated because I built the most complicated character I could have possibly built in Pathfinder for that game, whereas like in this game of D&D, I mostly just get to hit things. It's so nice. Oh, it's so nice.
I would be curious to know, folks that say Pathfinder is more complicated. I wonder if they learned 5th edition first, and it's complicated because they're trying to unlearn certain things and relearn things.
So,
yeah.
I think the first thing with Pathfinder that really put me off was when we rolled initiative, but some of us rolled initiative and added perception, and some of us rolled initiative and added dexterity, but it was all based on different things, and I was like, this can't be right. It just doesn't feel. It doesn't. It didn't. I know. Yeah. I knew you'd be like, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. But it just felt. It felt like you're adding more, like it was adding more steps than I needed it to. And there's weird things about opportunity attacks that I wasn't super keen on either, and stuff like that. When I was just like, just let me play my 5th edition. I love my 5th edition so much. It's like I've learned it now. Please don't make me learn any other things. I can just about do kids. I can just about do kids on bikes,
Because Pathfinder was based on it's like modified 3.5 rules, wasn't it, for D&D?
Something like that, yeah.
Which was always
that's how it started, yeah.
And that was always my favourite D&D system from that, until 5th edition came along. Because I just won't speak about 4th edition.
I don't think anybody speaks about 4th edition. 4th edition is the equivalent of Bruno right now. We do not talk about it.
I never played any tabletop RPGs until 5e. I started playing D&D like 2 years ago. I had refused to play D&D up until like 2 years ago. I always joke that I was like, I'm a massive nerd, I'm a dork, but like D&D is like my like red line. It's like, I won't cross it. It was always my like, I won't cross that line. That's like, it's too far for me. It's too nerdy.
What was it that I must know? What was it that got you started in? What was it that made you jump that gap and go, okay, yeah, I'll play Dungeons and Dragons then, or TPRPGs? Pandemic.
My part, like it was, I needed something to do with people, and there were people who wanted to play, and I was like, you know what, fine, whatever. I'm stuck at home. I can't see people. There are people who want to play over, like, in Discord. I just need to be talking. I just need to talk to people. So like, this is fine. I'll play, and then I ended up enjoying it.
Yeah. Cool.
I was just an 11-year-old geek kid in 1981 who was queer and had no friends, so suddenly found a way to find
you had to
new
find
friends.
Satan somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I did some clearing out yesterday and I found a module I've got, and it's a 1978 D&D module.
That's wild.
And it's when
Mate, it's probably in Candlekeep. They brought so many of them back.
A lot of them, that's it. They rewrote them and updated them, and this was from when Games Workshop, for anyone in the UK who remembers them, and Warhammer and everything. They used to publish D&D in the UK at the time for TSR.
Amazing.
But that's random.
What about you? What about you, Crispy? What was it that got you starting playing tabletop games?
So my partner at the time had been part of that D&D group, and she would always tell me how much fun it was, and there wasn't room at the moment. I think like after a year, they finally had room. I got invited, and I just absolutely loved it when I first started playing. Just like the freedom that you have to do like whatever you want compared to, any other kind of, game, I guess. You have to. There's rails for a lot of other kind of games, and where you can go off the rails for this kind of stuff. And I'm actually looking back at my first session because my old DM has a website where he logs every single session and everything. And the first campaign I actually played, it was not Pathfinder. It was a system called Fantasy Craft. And I don't remember hearing about that. Have you all heard of that one?
I've never heard of that. Fantasy Craft.
That's a new one to me.
Yeah, no idea.
Wild. Amazing. So I got into Dungeons and Dragons in 2016. I started watching a show in the UK called High Rollers. They've just done a I don't need to promote this because everyone is watching it, but they've just done a D&D, the cast of Baldur's Gate play D&D. They're doing that they've been doing that recently, and I started watching them, and I was really enjoying it, but I was like, this is really complicated. This looks really, really complicated. I'd love to try and like get people into a session, but I'm going to need to find somebody to DM. But it looked like I don't think I'm going to be able to DM. This is really, really complicated. It's never something that I'd get used to or anything along those lines. And on High Rollers, they were talking about, please don't put spoilers for Critical Role in the chat because we're not caught up with Critical Role. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll give Critical Role a go and have a look at that and see what that's like. And the absolutely crazy thing that I did in my head was I watched Matt Mercer DM and went, oh, well, Matt makes it look really easy. I could do that. So I cajoled everybody who lived with me to make characters and start playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I've not looked back since. And I'm not a forever DM. I do get to play, but I love DMing so much. It's so much fun. I highly recommend, even if you're brand new and you're scared, it's definitely worth giving it a go and seeing how you get on with it. I love Dungeons and Dragons so much.
Yeah, I can vouch for. I really like DMing. I played one game and then DM'd one immediately. I played for like 6 months and then like jumped into DMing and was like, oh, I like this side of it.
Yeah,
like it's not as scary as it seems like it is at first.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where you go, I don't think I can do this. I really don't think I can do this. Oh, no, wait, I can do this. It's fine. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. We'll be perfect. It's not a problem. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So we will be back almost at Halloween. So I think it's the 24th.
Okay.
24th, because we're not available on the... Wait, no, it's the 22nd because you're not available on the 8th. 22nd is the Sunday. So it's... Did you just go, ooh, crispy?
We'll discuss after. Fantastic.
We will. I'm sure we will have a session on the 22nd. After that, then because it's a spoopy session, so it should be fun. Yeah, guys, thank you very much for joining me as always. Thank you for talking through that episode. That was a lot of fun. I need to have a lie down and a cold compress to get over it because it was a lot of enemies. But I really enjoyed that. So thank you for being amazing. To the boys, very good luck on your moves, and I will see you again very, very soon.
Thank you.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.